Hey, what's up guys? Kevin here from Canadian Card Pickers, and today I want to revisit an old video of mine, which was my top 10 most valuable cards, which was actually 20 cards, broken down by serialized and non-serialized. This time I'm making more clear, top 20 most valuable cards. This now will include Series 2 because that's been out for about a month and a half. Beckett has updated their price guide and they've included some prices for cards in there, which will improve and iterate on as time goes on and there's more sales and purchases and all that kind of thing. They keep it up to date. But yeah, we're going to be revisiting that. As a note, first thing, this is recorded, or the prices were noted August 10th, 2021. That's the time that I input the prices, so they could have changed since then. Who knows? The second thing, none of this is investment advice when it comes to cards. These prices are not guaranteed. They could change at any point. The player could get injured and everything plummets. Other cards could surpass these ones. So these prices will not remain the same, but this is just a general guide to know what the expensive cards are and the players, and it can kind of be helpful for someone introducing themselves into the 2020 series or set, and they might want a rough idea of who are the good players, who are the what are the good parallels and stuff to look for. So, the other thing is, for those that have seen my old video, pronunciation will be better this time. Don't worry. Let's move on. First up for serialized cards. The first one he's going to own. This is his 1986 autograph in red. So this is a red parallel for this card. You can see the image on the right. It is expensive because of the fact that Alec Boehm is a prospect that a lot of people are expecting a lot from. Right now, he's, I think, underperforming a little bit. I feel like what tends to happen is the top tier players will play like really well that first season, and depending on the player, they can kind of trickle down a little bit. But you never know. That could remain, and they might never kind of recover, or they might come back out of it. Some people never have that dip. Every player is different, but in the case of Alec Boehm, he's having a little bit of, not trouble. He's not in trouble. Like, he's, I think, batting around 250, but he's not batting as well as he was last year when he first debuted. So, a lot of the cards in this set or in this video will feature Alec Boehm as well as some other names that you'll recognize. But this is out of the top 10. This is number 10. And it's Beckett low. So the Beckett low price, I interpret as this is the lowest you should sell it for without losing money. And then the Beckett high is this is the highest you should buy it for if you want to make a profit, right? Like if anything higher than that, you're probably going to lose money. So this is kind of them speculating at its lowest value or highest value. So those are potentially targets for you. Moving on, the next card, of course, features the shortstop galore, the maestro between second and third, and that is Fernando Tatis Jr. This particular card is his 1986 autograph gold parallel. So this is in that 86 style. Topps tends to do like a throwback to 35 years ago or whatever. So 86 is the throwback for 2021. So the thing about this card, why it's expensive and everything, is it's low serialization. There's only 50 of these cards. Based on the image that I've pulled, this is a on-card autograph. For those of you that don't know, on-card autographs are always going to be more valuable than sticker ones. Usually, maybe not always, but in most cases, unless there's something to do with there's more of the on-card one than the sticker ones or something, then scarcity would have an impact. But because the player has handled that physical card, there's kind of more of a connection to them. So in the case of this Tatis one, the Beckett low is $300 US and the Beckett high is $800. Even though Tatis is injured right now on the IL, he's one of the best players right now. If you watch some of his highlights, it's insane to watch. The guy is a machine at short, and some of the plays, like doing the splits, double jumping, like it's like he is Mario, no joke. So the guy's an insane player. You know, the contract that the Padres signed for him as well made a lot of people think that he's going to be something really special. So a lot of people are, and he already is. But I think, you know, he's not going to decline anytime soon. You know, like Trout, I think he's going to keep it going for a long time. Next up, this is a combination. So my previous video, I put a bunch of these separately, and what I'm going to do is I'm going to merge these just so it's a little more interesting. There's a little more diversity. So there are 3 cards here. The one displayed in the image is the Alec Boehm Platinum Anniversary Parallel. And not featured are the Independence Day and the Black Parallel. So all of these are low serializations. They're under 100. The Platinum Anniversary and the Black are serialized out of 70, whereas the Independence Day, like always, is out of 76 in reference to 1776, right? Independence Day for the US. So the Beckett Low price for most of these, it's around $300. You know, it might be a little bit lower, a little bit higher, but I think that's what they kind of round when they show the US price when I'm displaying in Canadian. The Beckett High is $800. And, you know, I talked about Alec Boehm before. A lot of people think he's, you know, going to be a really amazing player, you know, if he really shapes up and, you know, through the rest of this season, and hopefully comes, if he doesn't, if he kind of sticks to where he is, you know, hopefully he comes back swinging harder next year and makes some changes in the off season, but we'll have to wait and see. That's the thing about cards. You just never know. Are the prices going to stay the same? Are they going to go up? Are they going to go down? It's tricky. Next up, this is a new one. This is a card that was in a rookie that were introduced with Series 2 of 2021. And this is Ke'Bryan Hayes, or Ke'Bryan. I've heard it said both ways. But this is a 1986 card as well. This is Topps Chrome card. So typically you're going to get these kind of cards from the silver packs in a hobby box or a jumbo hobby. The jumbo hobby usually has 2, and then they'll have kind of like a random different one, like single card or 2 card kind of thing. Hobby boxes usually just have 1 silver pack or blue pack or whatever, but they contain these particular refractors in this style. So but I'm not quite sure. You might be able to find this in others. You might be able to find them in the general packs. So this one is an autograph, and it is an orange refractor. As you can see, it's not just a base kind of like chrome refractor. The Beckett Low for this is $500, and the Beckett High is $1,000. And the thing to keep in mind, based on this image that I've been able to pull, is this is a on-card autograph. This is not a sticker autograph, but it is possible that it is. You can kind of see some of the stuff behind. It could be a sticker, so that's a tricky one. You know, but in either case, it is worth quite a bit. Coming up next, we have another 1986 card. This one is an autograph of Fernando Tatis Jr. This is a red parallel. Unfortunately, no images were available online for me to track down. So sadly, we do not have what we would like. But that's, you know, it is what it is. The Beckett Low for this card is $400, and the Beckett High is $1,000. If you're curious what the red looks like, you can go back and quickly check the Alec Boehm. It'll look exactly like that one, but in this case, it'll be Tatis with the gold one that I showed earlier, I believe. Next up, this one, we have a Mike Trout. So this one is a 1986 All-Star card. So it's not just the base kind of 86 card. And this one is a gold autograph. So it's a gold parallel. In this case, they are usually a little more scarce than some of the other parallels. But in some cases, they also are a little more plentiful. But I think that might be the case. Is it's not as rare as, say, this Tatis red, but it's Mike Trout, so that does something there. Based on this image, this does look like a on-card autograph. It doesn't look like there's any indication there's a sticker there, so that's a big deal too. That could have an impact. on the price, again, because it's being physically handled by Trout. And often with these big stars, it costs a lot more to get their autograph. So it ends up being a little more rare, a little more special. So in this case, the Beckett Low is $600 and the Beckett High is $1,200. Next up, this one really surprised me. I'm assuming this could be, one of the tough things that happens is if they're going through and they're automatically like pulling and scraping data off eBay and that kind of thing, there's a chance for stuff to slip in that's not the actual card. So for instance, you can see on the right hand there, the card that I've put, it's a red refractor. It's not just the base red, but what I'm thinking is it's potentially possible that the refractor has been included in this pricing. And so it's actually the refractor that has a high price. It also could be a complete red herring, but you know, when you're going off a particular price guide, you know, they're sourcing from wherever. I tried to figure out exactly where they're sourcing their prices from, but I'm not quite sure, especially like Nick Castellanos, who he is playing extremely well right now. When I looked up, you know, his stats when I was doing this video and that kind of thing, he's batting .319, his WAR is 2.5, so he's doing really well. His on-base percentage is .375, and his OPS is .938. He's almost at 1, so the guy is playing really, really, really well. So, you know, in his career, he's played really well. He's almost 300 for batting average, and his career OPS is above 800. So, you know, there could be some logic to this, but it definitely surprised me. This was not around the last time, so like I said, this could be a red herring. That value could be a combination. It could be totally wrong. It could be pulling what people are selling a card for. So for instance, when I looked this card up, is currently at the time when I've recorded this, an auction that was looking for an opening bid of 2K. So it could be, it takes into what people are willing to sell for too. So that might be what it is. They look at something, they think it's 2,000, they look at previous sells, and they're like, okay, this would be a reasonable price to buy that. Couldn't tell you exactly. This isn't necessarily this is what it sold for. This is just saying here's the lowest you would sell it, here's the lowest you would buy it, or highest you would buy it. So it's a weird one. Next up, this one was in the previous video. It's another Alec Bohm card. This one is his Memorial Day camo. This one is even more scarce. This one is out of 25, so there's not that many. There are also two different cards around this price as well, and that is his Father's Day Blue and Mother's Day Pink cards, which are out of 50. I talked about all his stats, you know, a little lower year, but the low price for this is 600. That's the lowest you'd want to sell it for. The highest you'd buy it for would be 1,500. And you just got to hope that it appreciates. Apologies for the picture and how it has the tape. You know, when you're pulling stuff off of like eBay for reference images and that, you have to go with what you can get. And there's not a lot of these cards that people are selling. So that could be a good sign. That could mean that there's some out there and some wax that you can hunt for. And then finally, this is number one. This is the most expensive card. I couldn't find an image for this, but this is the Cabrian Hayes orange foil, or some people call it orange icy, whatever name. And it's his base card, 644, but it's a parallel. So the image that I put is his base card, and then I used an example. This is a Dylan Carlson version of this card, which... I can't remember the exact serialization on this one, but a lot of the time these orange refractors are about like 199 or something, but which is weird. But I think also just the hype of Cabrian Hayes, and again, this has a really wide range of price. So what I'm thinking is it is possible that this is a red herring one as well. It's people trying to sell a Cabrian Hayes orange foil for way more than it's worth, but when things go through and are parsing and they're looking at it, they're like, well, that's what someone's willing to sell it for, so they kind of have to take that into consideration on especially when something's scarce or limited and they don't have a large sample, you're going to have a way more skewed result, just because that's how it works, right? It's math and statistics. So, but that's what it would look like. It would have that little shininess with this style of card. So moving on from the serialized cards, these are going to be non-serialized. So a lot of these are going to be things like autographs that aren't paralleled, and they're also going to include short prints or super short prints or ultra short prints or USPs as the new, not new tier, but the renamed tier. It used to be, what was it? It was like something super short print. I can't remember what the first S was, but USP, just easier, less S's. It's like a snake is trying to sell you cards. So the first one, of course, Alec Boehm. This one is his super short print. This one, its low is $200 and its high is $500. You can see it reflected on the right. I've talked a lot about Alec Boehm already. A lot of these cards are him. He's featured heavily in this set when it comes to demand and that kind of thing. So next up, so I unfortunately couldn't find a base version of this card. So this is the 70 Years of Baseball autograph card of Mike Trout, but the only one I could find was a platinum version, which is a 1/1. This is not that one. A 1/1, typically not going to be in price guides. The selling price, the buying price, it's individual to the transaction and whatever the owner is willing to sell for, because there is only one. So they dictate the price and the expectations and all that. In this case, this would be non-serialized. It would just have the basic kind of whitish yellow, like whitish cream kind of background that these 70 Years of Baseball cards are like. If you Google and have a look at this particular insert, you'll see the color that I'm talking about. But the Beckett Low is $200, so that's the lowest you should sell it for. And the Beckett High is $500, so you wouldn't want to buy it any more than that, just because the price hasn't appreciated. There's not enough demand to warrant a higher price or whatnot. Next up, so this one, again, I had issues finding. This is a 1986 style card, Topps autograph of Tatis Jr. Again, unfortunately, no image, so I can't show it, so it's a very boring representation. But the Beckett Low for this is $200, and the Beckett High is $500. And again, Tatis, beast mode. Next up, we have the 1986 style All-Star autograph card. I could not find this, so I reused this image. So just imagine this, but with a white border. I cannot guarantee it's an on-card auto. It could be that with certain parallels, they ensure that it's on-card. So it could be a sticker one, especially because it's not serialized. They might have just done the old sheet thing, have them sign them all, and then put them on whatever they want. So the Beckett Low for this one is $300. The Beckett High is $600. Again, this would be white bordered and not gold. And I don't think I need to explain Trout. Next up, this is another short print. This one is another ultra short print. This is of Ken Griffey Jr. with his dad, Ken Griffey Sr. They actually played together for a short period. I believe I remember seeing something with Ken Griffey Sr. talking about, he's one of the only fathers or players who can say they heard, hit it or whatever, dad from the on deck circle. So it's a wonderful moment. It's kind of similarly ingrained into our memories, like the All-Star Game Vladdy with his dad moment. So the Beckett Low for this one is $300, and the Beckett High is $600. And Ken Griffey, I think there's kind of two things when it comes to Griffey. There was obviously him playing, especially at the time that he played, the steroid era, where he was one of those few guys hitting and playing amazingly well, and he was not using any performance-enhancing drugs, whereas a lot of the other people were that he was directly competing with. So if you were to take a lot of those people out, I think, Ken Griffey Jr. would place a lot higher in some of those rankings. So I think it's just commendable that he put up that much of a fight against these guys with an unfair advantage. The second thing that I think that endears us so much to Ken Griffey Jr. when it comes to card collecting is the Upper Deck Ken Griffey Jr. rookie card. It's infamous, right? You know, when it comes to any of the scandal and things like that when it comes to cards. So, but I just also think, you know, in the 90s, he was one of those names. He was that young guy, that star that we all were looking at, very similar to Tatis or Vladdy. You know, we saw this young player, you know, come in and just wow us. So I think that's why it prices as it does. Next up, this is another short print. I told you there's a lot of these. This one is a super short print of Mike Trout wearing his mask in the dugout, I believe, or coming on off the field. This photo would have been probably taken during the 2020 shortened season when most of the players were, you know, like everything was at the peak, so they had to wear masks. Vaccine wasn't out, that kind of thing. So the Beckett low of this is $300 and the Beckett high is $600. And again, it's Mike Trout. We don't need to hash out how good he is. Next up, this is a new one. This is a new short print introduced in Series 2. And this is a super short print. It's of Mickey Mantle, and he's holding 3 bats, as you can see in the image. The Beckett low for this is $300, and the Beckett high is $800. Why is it so expensive? It's Mickey Mantle. Like, that's that's the explanation. That's it. The guy is just ingrained in our memories, you know, when it comes to baseball. Next up, this is an ultra short print, and this is of Mike Yastrzemski and his grandfather, Carl Yastrzemski. I believe I might have said erroneously in the last one, I might have said maybe his father. I could have been wrong. I feel like I double checked it, but it's his grandfather. So there is a generation between them. But the Beckett low of this card is $300, and the Beckett high is $800. And I think people like this card and have demand for it because obviously scarcity. That's always influence. But I think also because it is, you know, two totally different generations of baseball. You know, the modern era that is statistics and optimization and, you know, health science and this crazy thing versus, you know, a player way back in the day, you know, back in the what is it, like the mid, you know, the 50s and the 60s and coming up during that time. I think, you know, we don't appreciate just how different things were back then to how they are now. So, and both are amazing players. You know, if you look at Carl Yastrzemski over his whole career, you know, the guy was batting .285 on base at 379. So he was getting on base more like over 33% of the time. And then his OPS was over 800, just absolutely slaying it back in the day. And then his grandson is playing really well too. You know, his career, he's been batting .259. His on-base percentage, 341. So very, very similar numbers for these two guys. You know, not as great of a hitter when it comes to Mike, but he's getting on base almost just as much. And both fairly, actually, the grandson, Mike, you know, he's got a higher OPS for his career. So he was getting more doubles and things like that. And, you know, potentially more home runs. So, yeah, I think, and it's just a great moment, you know, to see that generation represented. Next up is the 86 All-Star Gold Mike Trout. So this would be the same style as the auto, if you remember that, but it is not, it does not have the autograph. So this one, it should not be serialized based on what Beckett had on listed, but the low price is $400 and the Beckett high is $1,000. I'll say with this one, if it is serialized, I apologize, it's still expensive. But yeah, there'd be no auto. I just couldn't find a image of the base gold, and I happen to have one with the auto, so I figured why not. And then we're gonna go into the final card. This is the most expensive non-serialized card, and that is the Brian Hayes Ultra Short Print reverse negative. So you might look at this and be like, I don't get it. What's special about this one? Negative? Is it like, it's got that weird whitey blue like reverse thing? No. It took me a sec, but then I finally realized if you look at the base card, he's facing the other direction. What they did is they basically flipped it. If you look at the P and the pirates and all that, it is reversed. Looks like the negative of the card. So it's a very cool one. The Beckett Low is $800 and the Beckett High is $2,000. It's an ultra short print, so it's going to be very scarce, low population. Again, this is Brian Hayes, who's a top tier rookie of this class. A lot of high expectations of him. Although it does seem like this might be a little speculatory on Beckett's part. I couldn't find any sold cards of it, but I found a buy it now, and it was priced for over $4,000 US, which to me seems to suggest a reasonable buy price would be about $2,000, like Beckett shows here, because, usually buy it nows are more expensive than what an auction sale is. If you want to guarantee you're buying it and the person's potentially missing out on more money, sometimes it'll be a little more expensive. This actually isn't the most expensive one. My bad. The next one is another short print, which is Mickey Mantle. So this one's an ultra short print. You probably recognize this photo. He has the one bat on the shoulder. This is a recreation of his 1952 rookie card, which so many people have seen, and it's part of a lot of controversy when it comes to Topps, because I think it was their first foray into things. It did so bad that apparently a bunch of cards were thrown into a river or the ocean and stuff like that by Topps executive or the CEO, something like that. I'd have to look up the facts, but it made this extremely scarce, just because there wasn't a lot of cards out there, and it was kind of meant to be a flop. So now, obviously, we're in a time where cards aren't a flop. Everyone loves them, and it's huge. So people really connect with that 1952 Mickey Mantle. They connect with Mickey Mantle. So to have this kind of modern recreation of it, I think is, it's great. As a note, the Beckett Low and the Beckett High should be swapped. That's my bad there. But the Beckett Low is $1,000, which is, it's up there. It's up there in price. And then the Beckett High is $2,500. So a lot of people speculate that this card is going to go for a lot. One of the things that does happen, though, and to keep in mind with new cards like this, it's only been about a month and a half or so, maybe a month, since Topps released the set. I think it was July. I could be totally wrong. It was June, I think, maybe. I'd have to double check the exact release date. There's so many different releases that have happened since then. But what happens is you have scarcity, of course, at the beginning. You don't see anyone selling stuff because people haven't pulled them yet. So as over the course of that initial 3 months, more and more cards start to go out in circulation, like publicly. So that is one thing that factors in here, is as more of these Series 2 cards start to be opened and pulled, we're going to see more of these Mickey Mantle, USPs, and that will probably drop the price, because it's just basic supply and demand, right? The more there is of something, the less someone can ask for it, because there's too much competition. So they have to drop their price to be competitive, which is great for a buyer, So that's one of the things. If you're a seller, you want to sell, like you would want to sell stuff kind of at the peak, if you're trying to quick flip, right? Again, none of this is investment recommendations, and I could be wrong, but when there's that crazy high demand and people think like, I haven't seen any of the others and they really want it, they're willing to pay more because they can't find other sellers. But as more get introduced, they're naturally going to be inclined to pay less, because they're like, that guy's paying, like he's asking for way less shipping. I could just go to him. So you're like, okay, I got to drop the price now, $50, right? And then that slowly trickles down. Same thing happens in NFTs. People are always undercutting by $1. It's Price is Right rules, right? But that's the video. Hopefully you guys, learned a bit. There was some repetition in there, like I mentioned, from the previous release. This is a combination of Series 1 and 2, but overall, I think, some things have changed and shifted a bit. Alec Boehm isn't necessarily up there. We see Tatis coming in. Mike Trout, not quite as prevalent as it felt like he was last time. Still quite a few in there, but it seems like some people are pushing him out. I think, he's being overshadowed now a bit more. Being on a team that's not really a top contender, that's, and he's, locked in there. It'll be interesting to see what happens as far as his popularity, especially in the card market, as you have people like Ohtani, you have people like Vladdy, Tatis, and some of these, other guys who are kind of a little bit below that, like Bo Bichette, Teoscar Hernandez. I'm saying a lot of Blue Jay people because that's what I know the best. But, there are people like them who, are going to come in and they're going to steal the show because they're in a good place and they're able to lock things in. They got a better coach. They got someone who's really helping them unlock their potential. So that's why I say that when it comes to cards, there's ups and downs. You're going to see these prices go down. They might skyrocket, and then the Beckett High and Beckett Low are going to be 2 times, 3 times this. You never know when it comes to cards. And then depending on what the manufacturers do, that can impact value as well. So hopefully you guys learned it. Thank you so much for watching. I encourage you guys to subscribe if you want more videos like this or even just pack openings. I do a lot of stuff. You can follow me on Twitter at CAN card pickers. Can't do Canadian card pickers because it's too long. But you can ask me questions there or questions in the comments. I'll gladly, respond and answer any questions I can. If you have any things to point out that might be helpful for other people, feel free to post it and let people know. But I appreciate you guys watching. As a note, at the time of doing this, we have 300 something subscribers, and I'm doing a giveaway at 500. So if you guys subscribe now, you'll be able to know when I release the video to give you guys an idea when I hit that 500 of how you can enter into that. If not, then you just got to hope and get lucky that you happen to see that video on your browse. It's better to subscribe. But for 500 followers, I'm going to be giving, or subscribers, I'm going to be giving away a 2021 Series 2 hobby box. And then if we hit 1,000, then I'm going to give away a jumbo hobby. So there's 2 opportunities there. So I suggest subscribing so that way you know. Anyways, thank you guys so much for watching. I appreciate it. Definitely go check out some of my other videos. Some will be at the end of this. I hope you enjoyed it. Hope you learned a little bit. And I look forward to discussing things with you guys in the comments. Have a great rest of your day, your night, or your morning. And we'll see you guys in the next video. Bye.